with me because you look so fine that I really want to make you mine. I say you look so fine that I really want to make you mine.
Hello.
Yo,
What's going on?
what's happening?
We are back. It is episode 109 of the Opinion City podcast. I'm King Ralph. He's Parmesan. We are your hosts, and we are back with another fantastic episode.
Oh, yeah.
Boy, do we have a good one today. We are super excited to be inviting Delightful Dan onto the program.
Woo!
Yes,
Yeah.
it's going to be an awesome time chatting about
Indeed.
all types of things, including a first of ours, top 5. We have not heard anything on this subject before, but Sean, what are we talking in top 5 today?
Hopefully, for those who you remember a fallen app, top 5 iconic vines.
Yeah, I'm hoping that either Grapevine or Ivy are on the list because those are my favorite vines.
Right, of course.
I've been waiting days to make that joke. All right. Well, make sure that you follow the friends that we showed you in our opening video. All good friends of ours, great content makers. Make sure you follow them. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe on the channel. We have a Patreon. Make sure you check that out because we've got some great things going on over there, including 5-day early access to all of our Wrestling with Life videos. So check that out. And with that, Sean, I think it's about time to get this party started.
That's right.
It is episode 109, and it starts right now.
Now.
All right, everybody, gather around. The Candyman is here. What kind of candy do you want? Sweet chocolate? Chocolate malted candy? Gumdrops? Anything you want. You've come to the right man, 'cause I'm the Candyman. Who can take a sunrise, sprinkle it with dew, cover it with chocolate and a miracle or two? The Candyman. Oh, the Candyman can. The Candyman can, 'cause he mixes it with love and makes the world taste good. Who can take a rainbow, wrap it in a sigh, soak it in the sun, make a groovy lemon pie? The Candyman. The Candyman can. The Candyman can, 'cause he mixes it with love and makes the world.
Well, we are back, and we are here with the Candyman himself, Delightful Dan. Welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
Hello. Thank you so much for having me on the show. Doing all right. How you guys?
Awesome. We're super excited for this episode. Super excited for that intro, oddly enough.
I was getting pumped up to it.
I loved it.
Yeah, it's amazing. So right off the bat, gotta ask, because I mean it's in the name. Why candy?
Why not? No, candy is sweet and delicious. And honestly, that's kind of it.
That's it.
There you go. You know, nothing as complicated as Willy Wonka saving the Oompa Loompas from Vernicious Canids, but you know, love candy.
Those references at all, but candy is wonderful, and it's kind of that's kind of how I've seen things, especially in pro wrestling. It was like when I was a kid, I was like, hey, pro wrestling is cool. You know what else is cool? Candy. And sometimes that's all it needs to be.
Just as simple as that. Just a simple, easy 1-2 punch.
Well, so as we're not look at that. As we're not describing this in your top 5,
I hope you don't mind if I
enjoy.
Please do. That hat is pretty awesome. Would you say that Tootsie Roll Pops are your favorite candy, or do you have?
I'd say they're one of them. Yeah, they're. I'd say that Tootsie Roll Pops tied with literally every other candy that exists.
Nice.
They're at the top, and then there's a whole list going down.
And they're all in the top. Yeah,
they're all up there. Yes.
There is no one candy left behind.
No, I love. I will say I love Smarties. Smarties are like right up there. And I remember I used to go to like Walmart
American
day or
Smarties,
yeah, like the day or two after Halloween, you would go and they would have them massive, gigantic bags for like 50 cents. And I would buy one of those. And I used to have this Halloween bowl that would sit on a little table right inside my door. And I would fill that with Smarties. And I would have enough bags to cover like the whole year. And when people would come over, they would just take a handful as they were coming in the door. It was like the greatest thing.
You simply got it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Yeah. So now, for those who may not be in the know, tell us in your own words who exactly is Delightful Dan, the Candyman.
He is he is a candy loving pro wrestler. And again, what I was kind of saying before, I'm just like, I as a kid, these are things I loved. You know, you go through the world, there's a lot of other things not so great,
right?
So why not go back to these things? Why, like, I think everyone gets nostalgic because, you know, everything seems better as a kid because you were a kid,
right?
Things were so simple, and you didn't realize how bad things could be, which they very much are,
right?
A lot of times,
right?
But it's always been my philosophy of like, you know, I loved it as a kid. I want other kids to love it. I want, and candy is good. It's right. I feel like again, the simplicity of it is kind of what I lean into.
Now, what wrestlers or maybe even movies did you sort of inspire your look?
Let me see. I don't know. It was just kind of like, is there anyone that specifically inspired my look? I just, I like the stripes. I like just looking at candy packages. I found this top hat and I was like, this is a cool top hat. It's a purple jacket. So it's pretty much just like things that I like seeing, just aesthetically pleasing things to me.
Sure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so take us back to the beginning. Tell us a little bit about your entry into the world of pro wrestling, your training, how that all kind of got started.
Yeah, for sure. So I started. I was a lapsed fan again. Started liked as a kid, and then grew up in horrors of the world, and you start becoming skeptical of that, and it's like, oh, wrestling's not cool. I think a lot of people phase out of it. And then I went through different avenues, and I was involved in the comedy world. And there was there was like a comedy wrestling thing, and it reminded me. I was like, oh wait, wrestling is kind of fun. Like, first watching it, like, okay, ironically, how silly, but then you get into it, and it's like, oh, this is good. And then I became friends with this person named Fesh, who was a big part of that. And Fesh started, getting me back into wrestling and was like showing me things. And he showed me because I dipped my toe here and there, and I was like, I don't know if this is for me. And then he showed me stuff like Chikara. That is really what kind of lit the fire to be like, oh, I like this. This is good. And so I'd watch some of these things, and then he started doing some classes at the Wrestle Factory. I was like, oh, that sounds cool. You know what? Screw it. Like, thinking, none of us will be wrestlers, but it never hurts to try. Try
sure.
Something. You never know unless you do. So just going in with the intention of this will be a fun, different thing to try. And I saw that there was a class being taught by the person who I was watching the most, the person who really drew me to it, Chuck Taylor. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to rent a car for 7 weeks and go learn wrestling with Chuck Taylor.
Awesome.
And it was great. It was very challenging. I always say in the most loving way possible that Chuck Taylor is the worst teacher of anything I've ever had.
Oh no! Well, oh no!
no, speaking with everyone, I think he was just everyone was like, oh, he like you read the stories when he had to stop wrestling of all the ridiculous things that he do. And I think he really lived for that. But when it came to people who had never stepped foot in a wrestling ring before, I think he was like, "Oh, you guys don't know how to just do all this stuff naturally." So I ended up pulling my abdomen literally the first day of training.
Oh no!
Just trying to do a basketball.
Oh, no.
Like I don't think he was used to people being older and out of shape, and so. But yeah, so I did that, and at the end of it, it was going to be, oh, this is a one and done kind of thing. But I just really enjoyed it, and I wanted to. Like it was such a challenge. Like I was not good at it, but I'm like, I want to keep doing this. Like,
right, of course.
I got really into it, and so I kept doing that, and I did a bunch of the tiered classes until there were no more tiered classes for me to do, and I had to wait a decent amount of time between. So then I contacted Quack and was like, hey, it's not easy. I would do regular there, but I don't live particularly close to Philly.
Right.
And I don't own a car. So he recommended going out to NYWC. So I was out there for about a year. I was training and, gaining some of the stuff, and then pandemic hit, so that wasn't easily viable either, which also far away from where I lived.
Right.
So then at some point I started looking into the Worldwide Dojo, and I would travel there from time to time. I basically stole my brother's car, and I was traveling, and I was considering buying a car just to travel down there. Then eventually I was told about this new school that opened up called T2T in Brooklyn. And I was like, okay, they do a monthly thing. I know Brother Greatness, who is one of the original trainers. I don't know much of the other people. I don't have high expectations because I know there's, a lot of different, like, I was like, okay, Factory, Worldwide, like those places were like the top.
Right.
I'm like, it's probably not going to be that good. And then I went there and didn't know who this guy Logan Black was at the time, but met him and then started getting in classes, and I was like, oh wow, this is on par with like some of the best training I've had.
Right.
So yeah, that was late 2020, and I've been with T2T ever since. I was the first grad.
Awesome.
And it's still like I'm now part of the administrative team there. So that's T2T is my home.
So what's maybe your biggest takeaway from getting to learn from all these different wrestlers and people, and getting to go to all these different schools and having all these different experiences kind of combined into your training?
I think, any good trainer will tell you to, that's the best thing to do. Because there's no right or wrong way to do pro wrestling. I mean, there's stuff that
right.
you definitely shouldn't be doing, but
sure.
Yeah, but there's you'll hear the phrase scoops of ice cream, which is I forget that's a metaphor because I'm just thinking about the literal ice cream.
Right.
But people will say, there's different flavors and different ways to do things, and I think it's kind of like you should have the mindset of always being a student and always being willing to learn. Because what I love about Logan is he's very much like, he came up with people who told you, oh, don't wrestle for them, don't like, you stay under my roof. And he's very much of the opposite mind of saying like, hey, I'm not going to be able to teach you everything. So go learn with, Cheeseburger, or go learn with, like Brian Myers or whoever,
sure.
like, round out. You're going to get different things from different people.
Very cool. So tell us about your first match.
Ooh. So my first match in a wrestling ring, in a proper ring, because I was involved with a company called Extremely Serious Wrestling, which I still am. But that was a little more of a hardcore setup. We got floor mats, we got caution tape,
Oh, jeez.
I highly recommend checking out Extremely Serious Wrestling.
Well,
But,
it sounds extremely serious to me.
It does.
Like,
it
it's
is
yeah.
extremely serious. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, some great people have come out of there, myself included. You know, we've also got like Crackers the Luchador Parrot, Clayton Thomas Ellis, Johnny Pop, like names you know and love.
Yeah.
But yeah, one of the, like what I credit as like my first match was actually just had the anniversary. It was Brooklyn Comic Con.
Oh yeah, there you go.
It was against my friend who I trained with at the Wrestle Factory, and who had we had done some training together. This guy Anthony St. James. Who,
okay.
But yeah, so we had a fun little match. I was very nervous. It was very silly, but yeah, we got what's his name, Zanu, from the Marvel movie. There was a guy cosplaying, and with the one who has the little arrow thingy.
Oh, okay, him. Gotcha.
Zandu, is that someone's gonna get
oh yeah,
really
Zandu.
Yeah,
Yep.
Zandu. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We got it.
He came in. He had his little arrow. We all hit the ground for our lives. But yeah, it was a really fun time, and I felt like it was kind of just a great energy. And so I recently did Brooklyn Comic Con a couple weeks ago.
Nice.
And it's something that always has like just a very special place in my heart.
That's really cool. So you had mentioned earlier that you sort of started your career right around when COVID hit. So sort of talk about how that affected your training so early on when you were.
Yeah, it was difficult, and I had again, I had been training for pretty much exactly a year after so NYWC I was at for exactly a year. So I felt like I was like, all right, beginning to get things going, wrestling here and there. And yeah, so COVID hit, and it was definitely a challenge because I was like so enthusiastic and so excited for all of it. But,
right.
But also I think it gave me, because I was also, had a lot of insecurities with, and I still do to this day, but with where I was at, and I felt like it felt like just a huge struggle. Everything, like even getting to training was just like a huge ordeal. Like it would take me like 3 or 4 hours anyway, even though it was closer than Philly. So then when that happened, and then once I found T2T, it was just a positive light somehow. Yeah, it's strange because it's obviously a net negative, but I feel like it was a positive for that, and I got to kind of hone myself, and because I wasn't sure about like, will people like Delightful Dan, and to this day I still don't. So.
I mean, if you don't like candy, I think there's something a little bit wrong with you.
Yeah, there's something suspect there. If you're like, well, candy, like. I'm more a fan of vegetables, or maybe brushing my teeth, or
See, that's exactly what I think. Yet somehow it seems to be, that seems to be a prevalent attitude. I'm like, I've kind of taken, because I'm aware of what's going. Like there's literal bombs falling as we're speaking right now.
Right.
Like there's bad things in there, and I'm aware of these things. And like at some point, you just have to take all that stuff and like can it and seal it. And like I don't want that to be, but at the same time, I did a birthday party show, and I gave a bunch of kids candy, and then I go in the ring, and there's a girl licking a lollipop that I gave to her, and she looks up at me and she yells, "You suck, Candy Man!" And it wasn't like you suck lollipops. It was just like,
"Oh, you suck, Candy Man."
And I just don't know. Like, there seems to be a lot of apprehension to nice things.
Oh, I don't know, man. Right.
See, now there is, so there is this stereotype about, candy, and I don't understand it. So living here in Pennsylvania, we have one of the minor league baseball teams is the Reading Phillies. And these minor league teams, they always have like the races during the event, to like get fans into it and whatever. Well, they have a vegetable race And every time the vegetables are about to come across the finish line, an evil piece of candy comes out and attacks one of the vegetables. Like,
Right.
how is the vegetable the good guy and candy is the bad guy? Like,
Right.
in what universe is that the way it goes? See,
I mean that feels very much like the world we live in, where I'm
Right.
like, okay, there's no way that this can be a good thing. Like, what it makes you feel crazy, right? If I say
Yeah.
candy tastes good, and then there's pockets of people who will say, well, actually, me and my community, we don't think candy tastes good. And
Right.
oh yeah,
we have some of our leading professionals telling us that candy actually tastes bad.
It's like, no. That's not how that works.
there's definitely something wrong there. I don't. There's something wrong with those people.
And it makes me wonder, am I in the wrong? It makes you second guess
Ooh.
yourself.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
No, we can't have you thinking that. I mean,
No.
Candy is the. I'm not advocating anything
Right.
that if there's parents out there, don't listen to me because I'm not advocating. But candy's good. Candy's amazing. Like,
yeah, right.
I hope so. I want to believe that's true.
How many? Well, here you go. Here's the proof, and this is scientific.
Here we go.
How many varieties of candy are there, and how many varieties of vegetables are there? Lots more candy than vegetables. That's for sure.
That's for sure.
You know?
And there's even arguments that vegetables don't even exist.
Oh, okay.
All vegetables are fruit. I've heard that argument.
I have heard that some vegetables are fruit.
Yeah.
I haven't heard that all of them are fruit.
I think, or like I've heard slang about it.
There's a
usually
huge.
something on TikTok.
It's crazy. Like going back.
But then again, people have heard
Yeah.
all candy is bad. So I don't know.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. There's so many. Like all of a sudden, out of the out of blue, like they're saying that different fruits and vegetables are the opposite. I'm like, since when? Like, what? I don't understand anything.
No. All right. So, staying on the topic of things not existing, and this is a little early in the show for this, but we're gonna ask it anyways. All right. So, in your travels as a professional wrestler, have you ever wrestled in the New England area?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh, here we go.
Very much so.
Here we go.
Now, in your travels to the New England area, have you ever seen in the wild, live in front of you, a moose?
I have not seen a moose.
Okay.
This is a long-standing inside joke with this podcast because our very first guest, we repeat this ad nauseum. Our very first guest, long story short, Ultimo Ant, said that every time they wrestle in Vermont, there's a highway that's called the Moose Highway, and more people get killed by moose on this highway than any other highway. And every time they go on this highway, they don't see a moose. And CC Boost was riding with them and said that if he ever saw a moose, he would wrestle it.
Yes.
I mean, that's the most. Yeah, of course, CC would. Ultimo Ant is a liar. That's a well-known fact.
A
right.
liar.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, if you're hiding under a mask, you're already lying about something.
Right. Oh man.
Yeah, no shade towards Ultimo Ant, but geez, I mean, come on.
I'll shade towards Ultimo Ant.
Yeah, okay. Wow, man, you heard it here first. Yes.
I was talking to CPA who got to do one of those Alaska shows. Recently, and he spent an entire day just trying to find a moose, and he saw one, and it blew his mind.
Wow. All right. Well, so now we need to
moose sighting in Alaska.
Well,
got it.
We've got to get him
I'll
on the
keep you
show.
posted about New England. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because we have not found anybody else, save for one person who said they saw one in like the Grand Tetons, and that
that doesn't count.
That place might even be made up. It's like a fantasy land, like
right.
Minnesota. Or what's not? What did they say is not a place?
Wyoming.
Yeah.
That was
We don't
I don't
think that
Wyoming.
Yeah. We were told by one notorious Mimi when we had her on that there was another conspiracy, whatever, that is Wyoming even a state? It doesn't really even exist.
Apparently, it was a thing on the internet.
Like, it was like the question of who do you know that lives in Wyoming? Like, nobody.
Well, and as far as it comes to made up things, I just want to throw this out there. One of our good friends, Devin, the tribal chief, has checked in, and he said that broccoli is made up. Broccoli is a made up
Ooh.
thing. So
Broccoli is made up. It
Wow.
is not
it's
real.
a made up thing. That is a hot take, but I'm willing to believe it.
But
yeah, I believe it.
But sticking back to you and your wrestling fandom and in the ring stuff, what would you say in your earlier, when you first started watching wrestling, what would you say is your first like early pro wrestling memory?
Let me see. I have a pretty bad memory for a lot of things, but I do have like little kind of glimpses of like, I remember this. Like,
Sure.
I remember I really like Jake the Snake a lot.
Oh, good pick. Good pick.
I was like, oh, he was a cool guy. And I just remember, I don't even think I watched it. I think I just heard someone tell me about. Someone was like, oh, the Snake just bit Macho.
Oh,
and I was like, and I like my brain couldn't really comprehend like what does that mean,
Right.
Yeah.
And then I got to go to. I wish I could find out what the show was, but I went to some show that I think Yokozuna was supposed to be at. And he might have been dead at that point. But they made an announcement that instead they had gotten Jake, so I got to take a picture with Jake the Snake, and it was really
that's
cool.
That's
yeah,
cool.
like so. I don't think I was allowed to watch TV in my home,
no.
so it was like I would get like bits here and there, and my friend up the street, Matt, he would he would get the pay-per-views and stuff, and also I really liked WCW.
Right.
That was and always just liking the good guys. Like I was a big Wolfpack fan, and I was like, yeah, I want the good guys to win, and I want the bad guys not to win.
Right.
Yeah, and then all the lucha stuff I thought was cool.
Oh yeah.
I've always been pretty big, so I've always just wished I was a little guy who could do cool flippy things. From a kid, I was like, oh, little guys get to do skateboarding and karate and lucha. Us big guys get nothing.
Us big guys get.
Yeah, we get to reach the stuff on the top shelf.
Right. Right.
Yeah, and hit our head in the basement.
That's right.
Every time.
Every time.
Dude, it's like some parts here of like my closet, like they have an extra like banner that you miss, and poof. Like certain basements, the steep is so low that your head just immediately knocks in the first part of it on your way down.
I could be so much smarter if it weren't for basements. Knocking my brain around.
That is a fact.
That is a t-shirt worthy quote right there. Amazing. Oh boy. You did say something interesting there though. You weren't allowed to watch TV.
Yeah, or there was definitely strict restrictions on it. So I feel like like there was like times like it was like, oh, I have to do homework instead. So like I wasn't able to watch things regularly. So I feel like people will talk about specific like storylines where I'm like, all right, I knew the bigger pictures and some of the pay-per-views and stuff, but and like there was some allowances, like I would be allowed to stay up an extra half hour to watch Seinfeld.
Nice.
But
yeah, I go through the same thing with my wife because she wasn't allowed to watch a lot of things when she was growing up. So I talk about all these things and I just expect her to know, and she has no idea. But
no clue.
She knows who Tony Danza is. She knows he wasn't the boss. But seriously though, like yeah, I understand. All right, so talking about the early days of your wrestling and your fandom. So you mentioned the Wolfpack, you mentioned Jake the Snake. Did you have any other favorites, like people that like you really were drawn to watching?
Yeah, I mean those like Jake and also like Rey Mysterio, like a lot of Eddie, I loved. The little guys who could do cool stuff. Sting was real cool. Goldberg for a time. There's a lot that you look back on and you're like, oh, I feel stupid for having liked that. But, at the time, I'm like, oh, this is a big guy who's just beating everyone up. Right. That's so cool.
And then you're like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I
watched that back in the day.
What was that all about? I remember back in college during the Monday Night War time, and I remember I used to follow websites on the internet for wrestling back then, which
Right.
was nothing like it is today. But I used to be like, and I hate to admit this, but I used to be a Goldberg fan. And on the wall of my dorm room, I had like the count. So like every time I'd see on the internet, they'd be like, Goldberg just won 7 matches in one day in Peoria, Illinois at house shows. And I'm like, oh, I'm changing the number.
Right. Yeah, there's the number. Right.
Goldberg won
That's
7 on
amazing.
Saturday.
It's still crazy that whole streak, how they really wanted you to believe that in like a year. That 176. Yeah, it's crazy.
There are like wrestlers that haven't wrestled that many matches in 2 years, and you're expected to believe that Goldberg did this in like
6 months or whatever, like no time at all. Like,
I mean, he was very efficient, like
right,
when you're wrestling 3-minute matches, you can have a whole bunch more than it's probably a better way to go. Why do people, you see people doing 45 minutes? It's like, why don't you just win in 3 minutes?
Right.
Maybe he just knew something that the rest of us didn't.
Sure.
I mean, maybe he knew a secret.
Yeah, and think about it. Where's that jobber now? Who even knows who he is now?
Right. But back then, I don't even think the WCW were really doing a lot of house shows back then when Goldberg was getting big. I don't remember doing too many. So
now
we're embellishment a little bit,
Now were you a fan of the more kind of serious wrestler that didn't like Lex Luger would come out and Lex Luger was just like Lex Luger. There was no gimmick unless he was in the WWE doing dumb stuff. But like were you more a fan of wrestlers like that, or were you more of a fan of like wrestlers that were over the top gimmicks? Like you were like, I mean,
I definitely obviously liked a lot of the over the top. I did quite like some of the the more grounded ones. I mean, I said Wolfpack. I feel like Lex was always like, and he's also part of it,
Right.
Yeah.
All the other guys were like, oh, this guy's cool. Like Conan's so cool, and Sting's so cool, and Nash is so cool, and also Luger's there.
Right. Yeah,
too. he was like the Horace Hogan of the group. Like he just kind of showed up in the pictures, and everybody's like, oh yeah, I think I remember him there. Like I'm sure he's got the T-shirt somewhere to prove it.
But then I also loved like Dean Malenko. And there was like a whole sort of I've come to realize that like wrestling is so many different things for so many different people.
Yeah.
So it's like I've gone through stages of like, oh, this is great. And then like even revisiting some of that where I'm like, at the time I was kind of, not huge on him, but then I was like, wow, I really liked Brian Clark. He was so cool,
Yeah. So like when around because you said that you sort of phased out. When around do you remember that you stopped watching? What was happening, and then what was happening when you came back to watching it?
So funny enough, I feel like I think it was the Attitude Era that really kind of put me off.
Okay.
And it was it was like I'd say mostly probably just the wrestling fans at the time. Like the other kids. I'm like, when I couldn't walk down a hallway without someone running up to me and yelling "suck it," I'm like, well, this is kind of and I feel like I was like, maybe I was just a bit more innocent, and like I feel like everything was just like all these saying bad words and drinking and doing drugs and then watching listening to Jerry Lawler, I was like, well, this is gross.
Right.
I feel like
right.
I feel like there was a lot of things that really just kind of put me off, and I was like, okay, maybe this is not my thing. And then at some point years later, I remember my partner at the time brought me to a show. I don't remember if it was SmackDown or Raw, but I just remember that was when what's his name? Was it Muhammad Hassan? Was that
Muhammad Hassan?
Yes, Muhammad Hassan. Yes.
And he came out, and I'd been very far removed. He comes out and he's saying all these things. I'm like, I completely agree. And then the entire crowd is booing him and chanting USA. And I'm like, okay, so maybe wrestling fans are still stupid. And then also Eugene was like really big at the time. And, I mean, I've come to like really respect many aspects of Eugene.
Oh yeah.
Since I've revisited, but at the time I was like, hey, you know what? You don't need everything.
Right.
Maybe
Yeah.
maybe I was right the first time. So yeah, and then coming back, yeah, a lot of it really was just watching Chikara with my buddy Fesh, and then and getting into some of the people involved, and like when they started kind of branching out. And I remember one of the big things that was like, all right, I'm in, was when they did the first ironically, with your the last week's guest, when they did the Mae Young Classic.
Yeah.
That was one of the things that really I was like, oh, this is cool. And also just seeing her on that, I was like, hell yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Very exciting.
And it was cool that she got to get 2 wins. She made it almost to the end, but she didn't. It was cool that they gave her that sort of push, like, hey,
yeah,
watch this one. She is
Yeah.
good. Like,
Well, and it was, that was an amazing time to be a wrestling fan, because between the Mae Young Classic and the Cruiserweight Classic, this was really the first time that WWE was acknowledging independent wrestling in like a real way.
Yeah.
You had other things where, like, they would acknowledge, like, ECW when they did the first invasion angle.
Yep.
And so there was a little bit of it there, but it really wasn't anything significant. Like, we're saying, okay, so this person had this massive career before they came here. We're not just pretending that they started wrestling yesterday.
right.
And that was like a huge shift for WWE. I think it changed a lot of things.
But then also, tying that with like, what they respecting, because I feel like there had been so much negative sentiment towards WWE at that point, where it was like I mean, I feel like it swung back and forth between
Right.
Hating them and like loving the indies and back and forth, and then watching that, and I'm like, all right, I'm a Kimberly fan, but then going into it, I'm like, I don't know who this lady is, but everything, like the second Bianca Belair comes out, who the hell is she? She's a homegrown talent, and she like immediately became one of my favorites. Like, just from seeing that, and I feel like the marriage of getting indie stars and showing that there's a reason that they do produce a lot of talent in house, and it's great. All of it can be good.
Yeah, like I mean, especially looking at NXT Black and Gold, like that was like the highlight of NXT was when they were bringing in all the indie guys and having all of them sort of help the younger stars get along, but you still had them shining on like Samoa Joe, Adam Cole, like Aleister Black. You had such an era of wrestlers that, like, as much as NXT is getting back there, I don't think they will ever be able to replicate that era of NXT.
Yeah. Now, you were talking earlier about during the Attitude era, how like listening to commentary was like kind of, I mean, things in the ring were icky, but commentary was really icky.
Yeah.
But you can say that same thing about, like, if you go back and listen to Michael Cole do commentary when Daniel Bryan was in like the goofy version of NXT.
Oh yeah.
Like, his commentary is horrible, because it's basically just, shit on nerd culture, shit on the indies, like everything that like people ended up really loving about him and loving about, indie wrestling at that time. It was just like crap all over it, which was so, because when you hear Michael Cole say something about an indie company on TV now, you're like, I remember when you were like 100% against that. And
you hated it.
Very weird.
I was not happy about it at all.
Yeah.
So you got to find a happy middle ground.
Of course.
Yeah.
Now, in your wrestling career so far, what would you say are some of the favorite matches that you've had in the ring?
Let me see. I feel like I'm always like, oh yeah, my favorite matches still to come. No, I've had some really solid ones. I feel like a lot of times I don't get to work that many singles matches. I feel like people there tends to be a tendency of because I don't know, people see me as kind of a little outlandish, a little bit colorful and stuff, and I feel like a lot of the times they're like, oh, all these wacky characters, you go in together and you make a scramble, and those are fun.
Right.
But I really do enjoy getting to kind of paint a bigger picture and try more things out. I did have a very cool opportunity I've got to give the full story, but So if you were to look on Reddit at the worst non-WWE WrestleMania week shows of all time, one of them I was heavily involved in putting together when it was out in LA, because this company that I've been part of, Queer Punk Outlaws, who I've been involved with since the beginning. They decided to do a show out there, but I was basically going in as like the representative since the promoter wasn't there.
Right.
And we were partnering with another company, and it was kicking off Mania, and it was outdoors, and it was raining, and there ended up being technical difficulties that caused it to get delayed by 45 minutes, or maybe at least an hour. So it was an insane amount of time. So there was maybe 3 people in the crowd outside, and there was just tons of technical ability, just technical issues going on. But I was extremely excited because, I mean, obviously any chance to wrestle during WrestleMania week is great. But one of the people that I really looked up to when I was getting back into wrestling, watching at a King of Trios, I got to see when they brought the Australian crew in, and I had seen Mick Moretti, and I was like, oh my God, this guy is, he is such a fun character. He is such a, like, you see him walk out and it's like, that's the Rapscallion. Yep. You didn't even need to tell me what his nickname was, and just, his abilities. And I saw that he was going to be, him and a bunch of people from Australia were going to be in town, and they didn't have any bookings. So I reached out to him. And so that was like the one time I was like, you know what? I'm making this match for myself.
Nice.
And we had a really fun match. Like I really enjoyed it. It wasn't anything spectacular. It wasn't like crazy, but it was just really cool to wrestle against someone that I very much looked up to, despite being on one of the
worst shows.
That's one of the worst shows of all time, I guess, according to Cage Matcher.
Oh no!
Oh boy, Cage Match.
That was fun. Yeah, but other ones, like I got to have a couple of Candyland rules matches. I got to wrestle Kirby Wackerman at Blitzkrieg. I wrestled Brother Greatness. I believe, that was also QPO. So those were some really fun ones. I got to, play with some toys and weapons, and
nice.
Show that candy isn't just a sweet treat, but also could be pretty dangerous sometimes.
Yeah, that's right.
Amazing. So now, looking ahead, if you could wrestle anyone, and you are allowed to pick someone who's dead, we'll just put that out there. Like, I don't know how that would happen, but you are still allowed to pick them. If you could wrestle anybody dead or alive, who would it be, and maybe why?
Ooh, I mean, Farmer Burns stands out. If we're including dead people, never seen the guy wrestle. But it sounds kind of cool.
Yeah,
no, I always say, because I really like, I love seeing different styles, different, like, I love polar opposites, or different, like, again, if you see me wrestle, a guy who's just another silly guy, I'm like, that's fun. I'm never gonna say no to that.
Right.
But I think the person I would most love to wrestle, if somehow the stars aligned, is Minoru Suzuki.
Ooh, good name.
I feel like that's someone that you wouldn't expect necessarily, but also I think it would be a really fun time. And I think it's that one of my favorite things is just seeing, like, there's, for some reason they say people's weights when they come out, but there's no real weight divisions for the most part. So
right,
there's no there's anyone can wrestle anyone at any time. So why not?
I feel like that's a match you'd have to work up to, and then like take a month off afterwards. Just be like, I need to recuperate.
I need a break.
Potentially. Yeah, I'm sure my skin would be in pain for a long time after. But Minoru, if you're watching, and I know you are.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, it's on, buddy.
Oh, it's on.
I tell you what, the closed captionings will be in Japanese for him, just so we can make sure that he understands
just
that you're calling him out.
That part, right? Yep. So when you're not in the ring, when you're not training, when you have some sort of free time on your hands, what do you like to do outside of the squared circle?
Ooh,
there's not that much of it. I mean, I do like I spend a lot of time. You like, when you think about it all the time, like, oh, if I get little breaks, I'll be like, all right, what can I do? Like, I'll be reaching out to places, being like, hey, can I come there? Figuring out travel plans to get to other states and such. I have been. I like to, be at home with family. Like watching shows. I usually have me and my partner will kind of cycle through. We'll have like stints of different shows that we're watching. Currently between what we got. We keep saying the wrong thing. We keep calling it Uncut Gems, but Righteous Gemstones.
Okay.
Yeah. Watching that. Watch it. Like, so we have like different levels of things where it's like, all right, this is going to be all of our focus. This is going to be half of our focus, and this is going to be background.
Right.
And then recently I've like started getting a bit more into video games. I have a PS5, so I feel like I have a lot of catching up to do because I've had many. Like I had a PS2 for ages, and then kind of stopped playing video games altogether, and now I'm kind of back to it. I've been playing Red Dead Redemption 2.
Nice.
Again, I'm like it's nice that I could just kind of catch up because I know it was big a number of years ago, but then I watch soccer. I'm a soccer fan. In case you're wondering, I'm a fan of the Europa champions, Tottenham Hotspur. It's been many years since we could say we're champions, so I have to consistently
add that little thing in there.
Yeah. We're a horrible team, but we just happen to finally win something. So.
Listen, I'm glad that you can acknowledge it because that's how I feel with most of my teams. I'm like, listen, I'm a fan. I don't flip flop, but I know that my team's not good.
So I know literally nothing about soccer, and I will say this. So I used to go get my hair cut at this place where the majority of people in there were all Spanish speaking, and I don't speak Spanish. So I made the mistake of going during the World Cup, and they had the World Cup on TV. And of course they had the Spanish language channel. So I'm sitting there and I'm watching soccer and I can see what's going on. Doesn't mean I understand it, but I can see what's going on. And then like all of a sudden the game was over and they were tied. And then there's just like this random period of time added to it. And I'm like, not only do I not know what's going on, I can't even ask anybody because I don't think they'll be able to explain it. So I'm like, this is crazy. And then the pastor of my church is huge into soccer because his kids play, and one of his kids is pretty good. He's gone to a number of camps with the Philadelphia Union, and he keeps trying to get me to go to a Union game. And it hasn't worked out, but he's like, oh, it's so much fun and it's so exciting. Right. And I'm like, I don't know. Like, it just looks like a lot of running to me, and I don't like running.
That's right. I know a lot of people, a lot, especially in America, not huge fans. But I feel like there is something, and this is something I've realized fairly recently. But so I I've always kind of had like I follow soccer, but then I grew up I was around America. So I've called myself a Yankees fan just because I'm like, oh, they'll win. I would go to games as a kid with my my friends, but I always thought I just don't care about baseball. I'm like, I'm a Yankees fan, whatever, who cares? They'll win things, so one of my teams at least will.
They'll win things.
But I went a couple of years ago. My friend invited me, the same one I grew up going to games with, and I'm like, baseball game, I don't really want to go.
Right.
And then I sit there and I'm like, I can be the annoying, good sports ball, like just be sarcastic about it. Right. Or I can go the other way and just be like, hey, you know what? I'm just gonna act like I am the biggest fan of this.
Yes.
Here. So I'm like, I'm the number one Yankees, like going to the stadium, and I'm like, oh, these are all my boys. We got Aaron Judge, we got Cole, and then I start reading the names.
Right.
Of all the guys.
That's great.
Stanton, but and then there's a thing where it's like if you, it's like the adage of if you smile, it will make you happy. Where
right.
It's like, fake it till you make it kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, by the end of it, I'm like, oh wait, I think I ironied myself into being an actual Yankees fan.
Right. Yeah. Just tie it all back in.
Yeah. And I feel like that's with wrestling a lot of the time too.
Yeah.
I feel like when people get back into it as adults, it's like, oh, the silly little thing where we all know it's fake, and then you watch it and it's like, no, but that one, oh, cool, So,
All the time. All the time.
Yeah.
Wow. Because there's so many things that happen live that, like, again, I always tell people that throw that at me. I'm like, you can tell me it's staged or whatever, fake, all you want, but that knee does not bend that way.
Yeah, right. That nose did not shatter on its own.
Right.
Like, it did not spontaneously combust.
It didn't just like, it just exploded from the inside. It's no. Like when Rollins got kneed in the, when Cena got kneed in the face by Rollins in like 2015, and his nose was literally this way.
Bent. Well, I feel like in your sports analogy, baseball is a really bad one because baseball is much better in person.
Oh yes,
and it's still kind of because you have to be like a really committed baseball fan to sit and watch a game on TV. Like it is.
Yeah, it's
tough.
a slog on TV. I can go see a show live and have fun, but seeing it on TV, it's so slow.
Yeah,
and I'm like, I don't know what's happening. Like,
there's I've kind of felt that way before about wrestling too, where it was like when I was getting into trying to turn on a Raw and be like, hit with these commercials and like the way it's produced, and it's like, I understand that it's a mass audience versus when I would be, driving to Philly and being front row at the Wrestle Factory and being like, well, these guys are just like right in front of me, So I think something definitely gets lost in translation with any sort of sport like that.
Right.
Sorry to bring it back to wrestling.
No.
The way less interesting.
Right.
So I'm glad that you did bring it back to wrestling because I gotta ask. So, Extremely Serious Wrestling. Now I checked this out here. They are on independent wrestling.tv. So you can go to IWTV. There's 18 events there. But I did look at the roster, and I just want to make sure that I'm seeing this right. Because I don't know how old the information is on the website, but there is an XSW mid-card champion that's a dog.
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that I saw that.
Yeah.
Now I know who that dog is. I'm well aware who that dog is. I just was shocked to see that dog was a mid-card champion.
Yeah, I mean, truth be told, he probably should be relieved of the championship because he hasn't defended it in quite some time.
No.
But also, XSW haven't been running shows as frequently as we'd like to since shutdown. So,
catch 22. I got you.
Yeah, but no, we've had plenty. He had a pretty good match to get that too. I believe it was against Brian Truth. Pretty solid competitor. I do recommend anyone who hasn't seen Extremely Serious Wrestling before. It's worth checking out. You can see it on IWTV. It's something I've been very proud of. And also, we have like great. You look at like Shawn from Michaels that everyone knows and loves. His whole documentary is on IWTV too. It's something.
And remember, it is 100% serious wrestling.
If you can go to the Extremely Serious Wrestling website and look at the roster and not be like, I got to stop whatever I'm doing and watch this now. Like seriously, it is going down the list of that roster. I was just like blown away. I'm like this. I don't even know how this hasn't been like a thing in my life already, because I'm like this. It looks like exactly what it looks like. I would get excited and tell my wife about this stuff all the time if I knew about it. But now that I know about it, she's gonna hear about it for the next like 10 weeks.
So some of the info is a little bit dated on the website. I will say, but yeah, there's a lot of great stuff that goes on there, and I'm hoping to, because I a little peel behind the curtain, but I am a part of the team.
Okay.
And it's just been difficult for us. A lot of people have moved around places, but trying to get it back on its feet. you know, we still have a show from, I believe, 1, if not 2 years ago.
Okay.
That hasn't made it up to IWTV yet, but we have a bunch of shows that still need to make it into the well.
Right, into the archives.
Yeah. All right. So bringing it back to Delightful Dan the Candyman, what does the future hold for one Delightful Dan?
Well, I'm not too sure. I mean, I've got big life stuff coming at me, but yeah, for wrestling, I mean, I've been kind of, to be honest, what I was talking about before, like there has been a bit of a mental quandary for me in terms of you know, how do I move forward? Like, is my, you know, me trying to spread joy with candy, is that a lost cause? Because I've been thinking that a lot. Like, I don't, you know, I'm not booked and busy particularly. Like, you know, I have shows here and there, but you know, I don't know if I'm people's cup of tea, and maybe people would rather see, you know, something more real, something more, you know, in line with the things that I've always tried to escape from in wrestling.
Right.
But, you know, I you know, try to do it day at a time, and, you know, keep the negative urges canned up inside of me.
Right.
And, you know, while I do that, just try to bring some joy where I can find it while I still can, you know?
Absolutely.
Do what I can, get out there as much, and, you know, have fun doing it.
Right.
Yeah. Well, you know, listen, to kind of go back to a Chikara example here, you know, you could always be like Archibald Peck and change the gimmick up and be like, you know, Dangerous Dan, the Chainlock Man, you know, just throwing that out there.
Hey, that would be, maybe that's something. Maybe
well,
there's some mixed martial Delightful Dan. No, that wouldn't work. Some iteration.
Yeah, well, no, I think it's great that you are willing to talk about those kind of things, because, you know, I'm sure that there are a lot of wrestlers out there that may hear this and can understand exactly where you're coming from.
Right.
You know, wondering, like, you know, am I going down the right path? Is this really working? I mean, we wonder that doing a podcast, you know.
Yeah.
Are we really, you know, doing what we're supposed to be doing? So yeah, it's great that you're willing to talk about that.
Right.
But on the flip side, I do get a lot of you know, joy and validation from the community we have at T2T.
Right.
And that is a big part of, like, because I also help with a lot of the newer students and stuff. And as someone who, and I always tell people, I'm like, I pulled my abdomen on my first ever back roll. And you know, like, and I never thought I would ever be able to be a pro wrestler and wrestle in rings.
Yeah.
So being able to, like, now that I've kind of made it past the other side, I love being the other side for those people, you know, like, I love seeing people land their first roll and the excitement that they get out of it. And, you know, I love trying to help. Plus, we have such a great crew of people that I feel like aren't that well known, even though they should be. Like a lot of, you'll start seeing T2T people a lot more often around places and be like, where the hell did these kids come from?
Right.
Because I feel like people are still learning about, like, people like Angelo Carter and Kwesi Asante and, like, even A Game. Like, these are, I don't know how familiar you are with these people, but like, we have some really, really great people.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And it's also just such a good community. Yeah.
All right. Well, that is going to bring us to Sean's favorite moment of the episode. It is the final question of the interview. So, Sean, why don't you take it away?
Yeah. So, for Delightful Dan the Candyman, what does pro wrestling mean to you, and what is the significance that it has had so far on your life?
Ooh. Let me see. I feel like pro wrestling is a, you know, it's an art form, but I feel like it's the canvas too. It was kind of told to me where, you know, people will dismiss pro wrestling. It's like, oh, I don't like pro wrestling, which is kind of like saying I don't like movies,
right?
Because there might be, you know, there's it's not one thing. It's not ubiquitous. There's so many different shapes it takes, and I think that's beautiful. I think it's, again, going back to the simplicity of it. It's like there's a reason kids love it, adults love it. Like the just the spectrum of people that you can find. I feel like it's kind of amazing that so many different walks of life. Like, I think people talk about diversity, especially in the the corporatized way, but I think the diversity of wrestling fans like across the world is incredible. So I think it's just like a big. Sorry, I'm definitely blabbering on about it.
No, you're good.
No.
But yeah, I feel like it's just something. It's such a uniting thing, and I feel like everything in life is more or less meaningless. So this is just as meaningless as everything else. Like, I feel like people look at it and dismiss it, but everything is pointless. So this is nothing, and it's everything. To get real deep and philosophical.
No, that's a great way of wording it, because like I feel like throughout all the people that we talked to, a lot of people sort of say the same thing, that once wrestling is in your life, you're like attached to it. That's it. Like, it's really hard to like get away from it. It just becomes like ingrained in your life almost. Like,
like every room I look around and say, oh, can a ring fit in here?
Right? Yeah.
It's but yeah, it is, and it's great. It has had a very profound positive effect on my life. Like, I feel like I've stumbled throughout. Like, I've kind of spent my life being like, all right, well, there's all these, you're kind of told of what the path of life should be by whoever, be it your parents or movies or whatever, and people don't look at it as like a viable thing that you should be caring about. But then, what I was saying, none of it is. So, why should my job, my 9-to-5 job be more important than pro wrestling?
Right.
Why not experience the best things that life has to offer? And I think pro wrestling is part of it.
Absolutely. All right. Well, a great interview. Great getting to learn some wonderful things about you. It's been a lot of fun. But that is going to bring us to our top 5, our main event top 5. And Sean, can you remind us one more time what we are talking about?
We're bringing it back from the past. It has been long gone. We're holding up nostalgic memories here. Top 5 iconic vines, if you all remember that app back in the day. It was basically TikTok before TikTok became a thing.
Yeah. So
how can you forget?
So before we get into the top 5, tell us how did you get into Vines? Because Vines, I feel like Vines was a very like, I don't know. You knew about it, or you didn't know about it, or like you knew, like your friend knew about it. It was definitely a thing.
Yeah, I mean, it was just I don't know. It was just a new kind of format for social media, and like a weird kind of thing. Like, and I feel like every time one of these pop up, like TikTok I love too, but I feel like one of these will come up, and then everyone I know will be like, oh, I'm too old for that. And it's like, no, this is like, it's like, no, you're never too old to find something new. And then when I started seeing kind of like comedians I look up to doing things, I was like, oh, this is something. And then I started getting into it, and it's like, I feel like there are 2 different Vines too. There's 2 different versions of it. There was what actually was happening when it was a thing, and then there's the compilation era.
Yes,
because I love like we're going to be discussing the compilation era of Vine, but when it was actually happening, it was kind of like, it was like a digging into the crates situation.
Right.
You could be shown just a bunch of like conventionally attractive teen white boys, like like the Paul brothers and so. Right. And they would just be doing things that weren't entertaining at all. But then you would keep scrolling, and then eventually you would find something where it's like, oh, this is really funny and really entertaining. And like when you find that like one gem in the minefield, it's it was amazing. And then later on, like watching all the compilations and seeing all the things which most of the time I didn't see those, but
Right.
they've become such a part of the lexicon. Like there's ones which I quote consistently, which I have I don't even mean to.
Right.
And I think it's also like we don't have that many, as the internet and whatever, like we all can find our pockets.
Right.
I feel like it's really nice that there are these still commonality things. Like, there's very, whenever someone's watching the same TV show, it's way more of a novelty than, when before we all had access to a million things.
Right.
So I don't know. I Vine was really fun. I wanted to do a Shia LaBeouf parody at some point called All Minds Vines. I wanted to rent a theater and watch 100 Vines.
That video of him watching the stage show of his song, that was just amazing. That whole thing.
Incredible.
I still watch it now. Like once a week I watch it because it's so hilarious to me. Now, just for clarification, when you were talking about the Paul brothers, you were not talking about McCartney and Bunyan, correct?
I mean, I think they're related. I think they're all.
Yeah.
I think
Okay.
everyone
Right.
with the last name Paul is related.
Right.
I just want to make sure. Okay.
That's my conspiracy theory.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get into this. I'm excited.
Let's do it.
All right.
Number
Am
5.
I'm kicking it off.
Yeah, we know.
It's all you, buddy. We're just gonna discuss your top 5. Yep.
All right. Well, I want to hear yours too, but and I've got a bunch of honorable mentions.
Oh, good, great. Love that here.
To peg down, but so I'll start with number 5.
Yeah.
All right. I'll give each of them their moment. All right. So number 5, what I put down was, I love Chipotle.
Oh yeah.
Are you familiar with that?
Yes, I love Chipotle.
Yeah.
Chipotle is my life.
Yep. I can go on a long
Yes.
dissertation to all of these if you want, but also I'll try to keep it brief. But
I need to take notes because I don't know enough about mine.
Okay,
that we can watch those vines, right?
I can also reenact all of them. I'm happy to do that.
Right.
But it's a little boy eating at Chipotle, and it seems like he's simultaneously parodying, but also doing it, where he just goes, "I love Chipotle. Chipotle is my life."
Yeah.
And
okay, all right.
It's,
Wow,
I feel like it's there's a trend where I think kids on Vine usually the top. I tried to make it a bit more diverse, but for the most part, children Vines. Like I don't have I Smell Like Beef in here, but all timers. That's an all timer for sure.
And like that one got rehashed, remixed, mashed up to death as soon as it came out. Like there were like EDM, like not EDM, like dubstep remixes, like all those crazy things about. Yeah, it was nuts.
I feel like Vine. I guess I never got on the bandwagon. I feel like Vine was something like I watched the video and it was over in 6 seconds, and I'm like, where's the rest of it? I'm going back to YouTube. Like I don't know. I missed the boat apparently.
Well, that's the thing. Well, Vine. That's what I'm saying. So Vine took on a second life in YouTube because people would put favorites together, but then also things got lost because they wouldn't have the loops on them. So I feel like some of the ones that are famous from YouTube are not quite the same as the ones that are famous. Well, like nobody's watching Gummy Money on YouTube.
Oh, dude, that was one of my favorite Vines, and that's how I knew who Nicholas Megalis was. That guy was because of he was like the master of looping a Vine, like seamlessly, where you wouldn't know where it started or where it ended. Like he's so good.
I recently saw someone complain about saying that this is what we thought was peak humor. And it was like, no, that was a really like it was
really good. Yeah.
But it also if you watch one play of it, it's not really it's fine.
Right. It's all right.
Iconic status.
Right. Exactly.
Wow.
By the way, I'm so sorry, Ralph. I feel like you are very lost in this conversation.
No, I'm trying.
No, he's taking notes.
I'm learning here. I'm writing down every word you say.
You have so much research to do, but luckily it'll take you under a minute.
Oh, great. Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
Should I get into 4?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. 4. we got Zach. Stop. Are you
Zach,
familiar with
stop.
this one?
I'm trying to
Zach,
think. What was
stop. Okay,
Zach
so-
stop?
So it's a guy. He's wearing a like a white A shirt. He's got black pants and a beanie, and he's just doing. So imagine what it would look like to playing hacky sack without a ball. So he's just kicking his legs up, and there's a bunch of people just going, "Zach, stop! Zach, you have to stop! You're going to get in trouble." And then there's just of him being cornered by police.
Wow.
Just truly
Awesome.
absurdist.
Yeah. Oh man.
It's great. Zach, stop! It's another classic.
Okay.
Classic.
All
All
right.
right.
Number 3.
Number 3.
All right. This one has 2 different titles, and those are the entire lines of dialogue of the Vine. But the first line is "Say Colorado." Are you familiar with this one, Sean?
Is this is this one where they're skiing and you hear "I'm a giraffe"?
I'm a giraffe. That's the
best,
other line.
Dude, you want to talk about hilarious fine? I know,
my.
Ralph, you definitely have to Google it, but literally, it's the best 6 seconds. All it is someone taking a photo with their family says "Say Colorado," and you just see a guy in a giraffe suit go by and goes, "I'm a giraffe," like right across the screen.
Okay.
Like the amount of things that had to happen for that Vine to come about is just like it's amazing. It's
everything has to be at the right time, perfectly set. Yeah, like
someone went and put on their giraffe costume, paid for a lift ticket, went to the top of the mountain, waited for the opportune moment when the family was doing a thing, and the perfect timing of "I'm a giraffe." To make you go back, like you won't even notice that he's in a giraffe costume until like the third watch.
Because it happens so fast. You have to pause it and look real quick.
Oh boy! Wow. Jeez. I have to pause the 6-second video. Oh boy.
Yeah. It's well worth it.
Okay,
watching it on that
2?
loop too is even better because every time we loop it gets funnier and funnier every time you loop it.
And it just has such a beautiful rhythm to it.
Right.
Just the "Say Colorado." I'm a giraffe.
My life feels a little less fulfilled knowing I missed all of this.
It was a different time, sir. It was a different time.
Apparently. Oh man.
All right.
Number 2. We ready?
Yeah.
I'm ready.
Okay. This one's pretty serious. It's a change of pace, but
Okay.
I don't care that you broke your elbow.
Oh, that one I don't think I know actually.
Oh, it's wonderful. It's
it's wonderful.
It's a very very typical what you would think of as like if you were to picture the word nerd. It's this guy at a computer, and it's like it's right in the middle of the story. You could tell he's fed up with whatever this guy has been saying.
Right.
And he turns around and he says, "I'm going to say it. I don't care that you broke your elbow." And it's just the ultimate, like in his life, this you could see this is the mic drop moment.
Right.
And it's just like he ate with that one. And just like his like boom. It's incredible.
That's awesome.
That seems like the kind of thing I would say to somebody.
Right.
Yeah.
Like they're just going on and on. I'm like, listen, I don't care that you broke your elbow.
Oh no, not even that. This is just like he brought it up out of nowhere. No one was talking about the elbow. Like this is the meanest thing that person has ever said.
Right.
He has a heart of gold, and he's just going to say the most vile thing possible, which is, "I don't care that you broke your elbow." It's just such a moment. And like, you know, when you envision your life as a movie, it's like he was doing that at that moment, and I'm glad it's immortalized.
Right.
Yeah.
Of course.
Okay.
Oh my.
Ready to move on?
You want to do honorable mentions first before your number one?
I can rattle through a bunch of honorable mentions because
Okay.
Let's
do it.
Okay. And I'll do a quick explanation too.
Mhm.
So I've got Boy's got his free taco. to which the boy immediately falls down on the floor.
Yeah, and it drops all over the place. Yeah.
I would like that one.
It's very good. Then you got In Me Mom's Car.
Right. In Me
This
Mom's
person
Car.
saying, broom, broom.
Broom, broom.
There's a cut of the mother saying, get out me car. Aw.
It's just silly. Like,
Yeah.
I've got Wah, which is it's just clips from, I guess, a evangelical pastor or something that's going Wah, 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 Wah. It's very funny.
Nice.
This one you might be upset to learn is not number one, but it's definitely tight in the top 5. But oops, I almost dropped my croissant.
Oh yeah, right.
That's,
I remember that one.
I feel like that's one of the most like famous, iconic vines.
As soon as I learn how
Guy
to spell croissant, I'll look that one up.
Yeah. Guy scares another guy. The guy's holding a plate, and he says, "I could have dropped my croissant." It's fantastic.
It's just.
All right.
Then there's what's in your hand? A knife. This mother films her baby who's running around. She says, "What's in your hand?" He says, "A knife." No.
No. Right.
No.
A child running around with a knife.
Oh my.
Oh, that's good.
And
Dude,
then my
memories.
last honorable mention is
Absolutely. Oh, it's great.
someone's teacher. They recorded him every time he walked in the class, just going, "Hello, hello, hello," like every day. And it's the exact same. Like he walks in the same way.
Says the same thing, the exact same. Yep.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's great. Oh man.
Okay.
All
So
right.
those are my honorable mentions. I've got
Yeah.
more. I didn't include any from my favorite Viners, like
Right.
Gundacker and Victor Pope Jr.
Yeah, there's so many
yeah.
good ones.
I was like, you know what? I'm going to do ones which aren't necessarily like comedy skits.
Right.
Gotcha.
But all right, we ready for number one?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
The anticipation setting in. So number one is look at all those chickens.
Oh, right.
What?
It's a cinematic masterpiece in 6
It's a
seconds.
cinematic masterpiece.
What?
It starts all right, so it starts with first frame, wide shot. You see a field with a bunch of ducks. Scans over to a little girl who raises her arms to point at the ducks and says, "Look at all those chickens."
Oh.
But
And
she has
it's
like
the
a
most-
cute little lips, so it's like
Yeah.
chicken. Like she has a
Yeah.
little lisp at the end. I'm like, it's great.
Yeah, and it's like you could tell like this wasn't a mistake
that's-
because she like kind of stumbles over the word chickens. Like she
Right.
doesn't like she hits 2 syllables really hard. Look at all those chickens.
Yeah.
And it goes back to the thing
Oh
of like
man, that's
little
great.
little children on Vine is the funniest thing in the world.
It's
But-
the absolute best, man.
Yeah.
Oh, what a ride down memory lane.
Well, I definitely have something to learn about. That's for sure. I have a feeling that this is going to be one of those things where I'm going to be like, okay, like tonight, I'll get on YouTube to look at like Vine compilations. And when I'm done, I'll be like, oh crap, it's Wednesday afternoon. What did I do?
You
Get
are
lost.
100%. That is what is going to happen.
Yeah.
to you.
Oh man.
And they're all going to
People,
be
at my,
labeled.
people
like,
at my job will not be happy about that.
Right,
but, you know,
right.
they'll
"The
understand
Vines
though
that
when I
cured
say
my
what I was doing.
depression.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. All right. Wow. I did not anticipate enjoying this top 5 as much as I have. I am very excited to go see these vines and learn about vines in general. Absolutely amazing top
I am
5.
very excited for everyone around you to just be like, why the hell is this guy just quoting Vines now? Like,
Right.
Man, and neither grape nor ivy were on the list, and I'm still okay with it.
Right.
All right. Well, we're going to need a moment after that. So we're going
Yeah.
to take a momentary break here while you check this out. And when we come back, we're going to discuss upcoming events with Delightful Dan.
Yeah. Stay tuned.
He's a one-stop shop, make my heart beat stop. He's a sweet talking
All right, so you can check out all that great content on our channel. If you missed last week's episode of the Opinion City podcast, you missed a great conversation with someone who quite honestly does not do this, and so we were thrilled beyond belief to have the honor and pleasure of having Kimberly on the show with us. It has been a want for a long time, 2 years in the making. So please go back and check that out. You can also see our most recent episode of Wrestling with Life with Brian Schweiker, a great photographer on the indie scene. This week we've got Julie Rogan, referee, coming up on Wrestling with Life on Friday, and then come back next Sunday as we will have the Playbook Pat Rogers, where we will be asking him a number of things, including some of the Pennsylvania State Athletic Committee rules. So that he is an expert of such things. So definitely come back for that. So that brings us to Delightful Dan. What have you got going on that you would like to let all of our listeners know about?
Let me see. Yeah, I don't have too much on the schedule right now. Definitely check out those podcasts because those are great people. Yeah, I'm curious to see. I've been part of Blitzkrieg Pro. I know they have a show coming up this next week. You know, they haven't used me for some time. So, but I'm still going to enjoy it. Those are always great shows, and I recommend people check them out. You know, I might go check that one out in person myself. Yeah, then there's you know, what should be coming down the line? We've got some things coming on IWTV, both for QPO and T2T. We've been trying to work that stuff, getting the catalog. We have a lot of stuff that we've done which hasn't yet seen the light of day. Also, make sure you check out Extremely Serious Wrestling, as we discussed earlier, because that's some work I'm really proud of. Had some real fun things in there. And yeah, just you know, like ask promoters, be like, hey, where's this Candyman at? Because I'm always going to shows. I'm always trying to get out and around, and you know, I love exploring new places. So
awesome.
You know, who knows where I'll pop up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, as you can see, we've had it on the screen there. You can check out Delightful Dan over on socials. We've got at Goddamn Candyman, so check that out on Twitter, or as the kids call it today, X.
Yeah,
but I remember the Twitter days. I should have that on a T-shirt. I remember
the Twitter days.
Yeah,
I'm not calling it X.
No, me neither.
Never have. Yeah.
And Instagram as well, so you can follow Dan there. Oh, and don't forget about TikTok.
Yep.
He's
one day there'll be a top 5 TikTok. So you know,
there you go.
He is a tickety talker. So make sure you go over and check him out there as well. And definitely when you are at your next favorite promotion, say, hey, where's Delightful Dan? Like we're here to see Delightful Dan. Where is he?
Right.
Let's get Delightful Dan booked all over the place.
Yeah. And also check out T2T. If you're into wrestling as well, like too. Please, because we're doing some really good stuff in Brooklyn. So
awesome, very cool. All right, well, this has been extremely great having you on the show. It almost feels like you were a perfect fit for this show. It just it felt very, very natural, and you just kind of fit right in with the crew. So
that's right.
Thank you so much.
It was very cool having you on the show today, getting to learn a little bit more about you, and we appreciate your time. You are welcome here on the show anytime, sir. Anytime you want to come on and chat it up.
See you tomorrow.
Yeah, all right. Well, listen, let me know what time, as long as it's, you know. Well, I'll record from work with you. I don't care. So but it was great having you, and like I said, anytime you are welcome here. We'll have to do another episode where we do talk about TikToks as well. Yeah, because I'm sure that if the TikToks are half as good as the Vines you've described, then I'm excited for that. But so thanks again for your time. That's going to wrap us up here for this episode of the Opinion City podcast. For Delightful Dan the Candyman, for Parmesan not the Candyman, and for King Ralph kind of the Candyman. This has been the Opinion City podcast. Remember, kindness is free, so be kind to each other. God bless each and every one of you, and we will see you guys next time.
Peace.
If you